Hey sis, welcome back to Healing, Hustle, and Home. If you're new here, I'm Ashley Springs, educator, mentor, sports mom, and your glow up bestie. And around here, we talk about the real side of building a life, building a business, and building something that actually supports the life that you are living. Not the highlight reel version. I'm talking about the real life version, the REAL life version. The version where you're raising kids, you're working a job, you are paying bills, trying to grow, all of that stuff, trying to heal, trying to build something meaningful, all at the same time, girl. And today's episode is a little special, a little bit different, because I wanted to talk about something that recently happened in my business that honestly meant so much to me. I recently won my first business grant, y'all. Yes. Your girl won her first business grant. And before you think this episode is about money, nope. Let me tell you right now, this episode is not about the money. This episode is about what the money confirmed. Because winning that grant didn't change my business at all, okay? It didn't change my business. What it did was it validated the way I built it. Yes, you want to talk about somebody that just felt good. Your girl was on like cloud nine, okay? And if you are someone who is trying to build something of your own, whether that's a side hustle, a digital product, a coaching offer, or even a full business, you might be trying to even build a storefront, whatever that is for you. I want to walk you through the real lesson behind that moment, because it ties directly into something that I teach inside the Becoming House, which is my community on school. So it's specifically inside of the Rise room, and it also ties directly to the guide that I created called Built on Purpose, what I did in what order. So today I'm going to break it down for you. Somebody say, break it down. Yes, break it down. Let's have a little bit of fun, okay? What really happened behind the scenes, all right? What funders are actually looking for, why structure matters more than motivation, what you need to have in place if you want to build something that really grows. Not just, that you talk about. Not that's just a hobby. All right? Yes, let's talk about it. Y'all, when I was sitting there and I heard first of all, let me just back up a minute. When they said the word she, I was like, oh, that's me. That's me. That's me. I already claimed it when they said she. But y'all, when I heard my name announced as the grant recipient, it was one of those moments where you kind of just pause for a second and then you just go crazy. Like, it was like I was on The Price is Right and they called my name and I already had my little dance, my little celebration ready for when they call my name to come down that aisle, okay? Because for a lot of people, the majority of people, especially for women, especially for moms, especially for a teenage mom who is coming from a place of generational poverty, who is coming from a place who nobody even taught her about anything finance, who just built this business out of passion and out of wanting to just start something to help others because it was something that I just survived. Funding feels like something that happens to other people, not people like us. Definitely not people like me, not people building businesses in between working a full-time job. in between picking up my kids from multiple sports practices, in between participating in their school activities, or being on their different committees and going to their different events at schools, traveling back and forth and struggling to make ends meet, being a single mom, going, not me, people who are still working full-time jobs while building this something on the side. No. But when my name was called, the first thing I thought was, wow, somebody sees what I've been building. Y'all don't know, that moment meant something to me, because I had been building just quietly. I mean, hours and hours. I wake up before I have to start my job. I work on this while I'm waiting for my kids' practices. I learn, I attend classes, I build, I get up on the weekends and I work on this. I work on it hours and hours and hours without ever making a single dime, because I believe in it. And I want my voice, I want my resources, I want my story, I want this pain that I've experienced to be a purpose. I want this mess that I've gone through to be a message. And I want it to be a testimony to help somebody else so that they don't have to suffer as long as I did. Y'all, what it meant even more was the realization that it wasn't luck. It was alignment, because I had been praying for alignment. I had been praying that, God, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I doing the right thing? Am I in alignment with you, with your word, with your plan, with your purpose, with your desires for my life? Am I, God? And if I'm not, please help me get back on track, Lord. Y'all don't even know the conversations that I've had in here, the crying that me and God had. And I know that he don't even respond to our emotions like that, but I went through some things, because sometimes we don't see the results of what we're building in that moment. We struggle through it and we tell ourselves these stories like, maybe this is not what you're supposed to be doing. Maybe it's the wrong thing. Maybe you're supposed to be doing somebody else. We compare ourselves. Look at them over there. They're doing so good. Look at their business. But I'm still over here struggling through it, right? It was alignment, though, because by the time that opportunity had come around, I already had things in place. And it made sense to me. The reason why I had to sit there and build and build and build was so that I could be ready for that moment. And let me tell you something. I found out about the grant that I won just a few days before I applied for it. So I didn't even have time to get ready. Lord, we should stay ready so that we don't have to get ready. And I say that to others all the time. I even say it to my children. But this was the perfect example, because I attended a class maybe 5 days before. I listened to it as I was waiting for my son to finish his football game on a Wednesday afternoon at his school. The class was starting and I put my AirPods in and I sat there and I listened to the class as the game ended and they were waiting to clean up, and I was waiting for him to come to the car, and I said, I'm not going to miss this class, because it was about learning how to find grants and learning how to write grants for your for-profit business. I've never, went to one of those classes, and I needed to learn. I have a learning spirit. I believe that we should be lifelong learners. And if I'm going to be someone's mentor, someone's coach, and I'm going to be teaching other people how to do things, I believe that somebody should be pouring into me too. That's just the person that I am. So I had already built all of these things. I had already put in all this work by the time this instructor shared all of these things she had shared. I had already done. It was crazy. And she says, here's this grant. It's due on September 18th. That was like 5 days from that date I was attending. She says, go apply. It's pretty simple. So by the time that opportunity had came around, I already had a website. I already had digital products, several of them. I already had a clear message. I already had tools I had created for my audience, systems for how my business actually worked. Now, was everything perfect? Of course not. But there was structure, y'all. There was structure. And that's the key word I want you to hear here today. Structure. Because money doesn't fix chaos. Money grows whatever already exists. And that's not just in business. That's in your personal finances and in your business finances. Money grows whatever already exists. So if things are already a mess, then guess what? There we go. So a lot of people think that grants are about having a story, which they can be. I'm not saying it's not any of these things, but that's not the only thing. They think grants are about having a story, about knowing the right people. And there are some situations where knowing the right people will get you into some rooms, trust me. They think they're about just filling out a good application. But after going through this experience, what I realized is this. Grant funders are not just investing in ideas that stay here. They are investing in foundations. I had to send them my foundational documents, right? They wanted to know about my website. They wanted to see evidence that if they put the resources in my hands, in your hands, that you already have the discipline and system to use those resources wisely. Otherwise, why would they invest in you? They're asking questions like, do you have something real built? They ask for your websites, for your social medias, for all of that information. They want to know, do you have a business bank that I can even send this money to? Do you have something real built? Do you know who you serve? Do you have offers or tools in place? Are you showing up consistently? Yes, they checked my social media. They wanted to know if this girl, is she showing up for her people, that audience that she said she was showing up for in that application or on that pitch video? Let's check. Is your business organized enough to grow? And this is where a lot of people get stuck, because we live in a culture that tells us to chase motivation, start the idea, post the content, talk about the dream. But the part that actually builds credibility is the part people skip: the structure, the systems, the organization, the order. And that's exactly why I created my guide, Built on Purpose. What I did in what order. Because there's no more of that. Because when I look back on my journey, the biggest difference between staying busy and building something real was understanding the order of things. Not just what to do, but when to do it. So let me give you a simplified version of what that looked like for me. The first thing I had to get clear on was who I was helping. Because, of course, we want to help everybody, but we have to start somewhere too. And for me, that became very clear over time. I started to think back to who have I been helping and where do I feel most comfortable? It was moms. It was busy moms. It was women who are juggling family, life, finances, goals, and healing all at once. Yes. It was women who wanted more stability, more clarity, and more control over their life. Not that I don't want to help everybody, and not that that's not part of the vision, but I had to start with somebody. And once I knew who I was serving, the next thing was creating something that actually help them. Just content. I'm not just talking about that social media reel, okay? Not just inspiration, because that's what that is, the 30-second video. I'm talking about tools. I'm talking about resources. I'm talking about frameworks, things that solve real problems. There's where the things like the planning tools, the budgeting resources, the digital guides, the coaching programs, that's where those things started to come into play. Okay. And for me, that was like my real life. It was easy for me because those are the tools, those are the resources, those are the systems that I had been creating, using, rough draft. Let me make this one a little bit better. Trial it again. Oh, let me make this one a little bit better. In my real life now, testing it out and making it better in my real life. And I've had a few friends along the way that I just help just out of my pure heart because, there are other moms that, have similar journeys as me. And we just have had conversations and I was like, oh yeah, let me help you do that. And I've shared resources with them, even my siblings, but not even knowing that one day this would be a business for me. But these are my real life systems that I turned into repeatable frameworks, resources, programs, tools, guides. But then came the next layer. And guys, like, this is so serious for me because the things that I'm doing, the things that I have implemented, created, it's not somebody else's stuff. It's not somebody else's idea. It is truly near and dear to me because it is real life. Mom tested, mom approved, and it works. And they've changed my life and others' life as well. So then comes that next layer though, and that's building a home for the business. And that meant a website. That meant a place where people could actually find what I offer. A place where the business could grow beyond social media. Instagram is not your website. TikTok is not your website. I mean, you want to have those. Those are for traffic. Okay. And then after that came the systems. Do you see how I'm going in order? Then came the email, the automation, the customer experience, the things that make a business sustainable instead of chaotic, though, even when your life is chaotic. Now, I want you to notice something here. Funding didn't come first. Building did. And it was a certain order that we built in. And that's the part I want you to truly hear today. Because a lot of people are waiting for money before they build. A lot of people are waiting to make sure their credit is in the perfect place before they start building. You don't have to do any of that. Most of the time, the money shows up after you build something real because they know that you're serious. They know that you are invested in this thing. So inside the Becoming House, that's my school community, the Rise Room is where we start talking about building income and expanding beyond survival. The Reset Room is about getting your life back in order. The Refocus Lab is about structure and time. But the Rise Room, y'all, that is where we start asking a new question. And that question is this: how do I build something that supports my life financially? Not in a way that replaces your life, but in a way that fits your life. Because that's something I care about deeply. If it doesn't fit your life, don't do it, because it's going to cost you more stress than help you. Don't do it. I don't believe building a business should cost you your peace. I don't believe it should take you away from your family. I don't believe success should mean exhaustion. What I do believe is that with the right structure, the right systems, and the right order, you can build something that grows with your life instead of against it. And that's the philosophy behind both the Becoming House and Built on Purpose. Yeah. And if there's one lesson that I want you to take from this episode, it's this. Don't wait for permission to build. Don't wait for funding. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Start building structure now. Get clear on who you help. Create something that actually solves a problem. Organize your business so it can grow. Because when, not if, when the opportunity shows up, the question won't be, do you want to build a business? The question is going to be, have you already built something? And when you can answer that with confidence, everything changes, boo. Everything changes. Listen, if this episode stuck with you in any way, I'd love for you to share it with another woman who's trying to build something meaningful for her life, for her family. And if you want to see the exact framework I used for building my business step by step, you can check it out. It's called Built on Purpose, What I Did in What Order. And it is a step-by-step guide to build your business. And I want you to have a community and support as you grow. So I would love to welcome you into the Becoming House. Again, that is my community, my growth community, to help you with your time, your money, your income. And it is on the School platform. You don't have to figure everything out alone. Okay. Listen, I'm Ashley Springs, your Glow Up bestie, and I will see you here next week.